Very warm welcome to our coverage of Spireites Extra Time with myself, Paul Fisher, and Liam Norcliffe. This is episode 16, and apologies, we're not here last week. We had some illness going around the camp, so yeah, it was not great. But yes, we've got three games to discuss: Doncaster in the FA Cup, Cambridge United, a little over a short about a week ago ish, and obviously the big win against Barnet on Saturday. Now, Liam, yeah, let's delve into straight away. Let's go into Doncaster game. My opinion, what a brilliant cup tie it was.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with that. It was entertaining, wasn't it? I think it was everything we thought it was probably going to be in
Yeah,
terms of the evening kickoff, Saturday night under the lights. A Doncaster team who we know well from last season play a very similar style to Chesterfield, very similar approach in terms of front foot attacking, aggressive style of football. Playing a nice, easy on the eye style of football as well. There's lots of similarities between the two teams, and yeah, it was a shame how it ended for Chesterfield with obviously conceding late on and going out. But in hindsight, down to 10 men, it was probably going to be the same outcome had it gone to extra time if they hadn't been able to hold on for penalties. So I think, given the busy fixture schedule coming up and the injuries that they've got, I think it was probably for the best that maybe they had to suffer that little bit of pain in the last couple of minutes. But overall, it was a positive performance. There wasn't really much in the game, was there? Really, it was pretty tight. But yeah, it all hinged on that red card for John Fleck, which Chesterfield appealed and lost, which means he's suspended for 3 games. Obviously, he's got one more to go against Shrewsbury this weekend. Um, so yeah, and I think Donny have got a home tie in the next round against Southampton. So something to them to look forward to. But it's not a massive glamour tie that Chesterfield have missed out on either.
no, it's not. They would have, as Donny have, of course, to have a chance against Southampton, but that's by the by, isn't it? The game, yeah, massively hinged on that John Fleck decision. It meant Chesterfield had to change tack, and Graham McCann alluded to afterwards. It's very difficult to play against 10 men because you don't know what shape the opposition are going to go into. They might drop to three at the back and leave somebody out in midfield, or as Chesterfield did, they pushed to five, didn't they? They pushed two left backs in with Lewis and Gordon on that side, and then sort of galvanised the central defenders over the far side. So it kind of worked, didn't it, for a long period for Chesterfield? Although the chances were starting to get a little bit heavier for Doncaster. They'd already had one ruled out, wouldn't they, for offside through Billy Sharp. But you're absolutely right. The last thing Chesterfield would have wanted is extra time. When they're expanding so much energy down to 10 men, the last thing you want is it to go. And you got a game on Tuesday, of course. The only way Chesterfield were really going to win that game after it went down to 10 men was probably penalties, unless they can counter attack and snatch something to the death like Doncaster did. Um, but they didn't really trouble. There was that chance from Lee Bonus, which went over the bar, I think, after Tutala dropped the
Mm.
ball, but I don't think that was even in towards the 90th minute. I don't think anyway. But yeah, I didn't feel that it was going to be, and you know, it was evenly matched up to a certain point. Um, I felt like the referee didn't give himself an option to straight away when he blew the whistle. I thought there's a red card coming here. I thought it was just his tone of the whistle. I don't know why. I don't know. I just felt, oh, and lots of people just were amazed by that the red card came out. They thought it was going to be a yellow all day long. But I don't know. I just felt straight away that it was going to be a red. So, what was your thoughts on the red card?
Yeah, it was very similar, really. I thought yellow, and then just the way his body language was, the fact that he paused, and then you just sort of looked at it, how he was sort of walking over to Fleck, and you thought he's going to give a red. Obviously, we're up high in the press box, difficult to get a clear view of it at the time, but looking back at the replays, he does catch him. His studs are up, but probably doesn't catch him as much as maybe what you thought initially. Um, it's been described as an orange card, hasn't it? So it's
Yeah,
probably fair enough. It's not an absolute howler from the referee, I don't think. But yeah, I mean, Owen Bailey didn't need any treatment, did he? So he wasn't seriously injured. I mean, that's not a reason not to give a red card, but he was probably just a bit unlucky. Like John Fleck had just come on, a little bit rusty. He took a heavy touch. He was trying to rescue the ball in the middle of the park, probably thinking that Donny are going to escape here on the counter attack, and he just sort of tried to make up for his mistake, didn't he, and caught him. But it was an honest challenge. He didn't try to do him or anything like that. But yeah, Chesterfield did do well after that. I thought, I was I was I felt fairly comfortable. I think I don't think Doncaster had that many chances to say that Chesterfield went down to 10 men. I think they managed that quite well with the change of system. But yeah, I still sort of thought when that winner went in, yeah, it stings a little bit now, but I think it was probably for the best.
yeah, I think so. I think if with the man advantage, you felt that Doncaster obviously had that leg up to get the goal, and it did sting because it was in the 90th minute against a guy who'd not scored previously before Tuesday against Chesterfield. So he likes scoring against Chesterfield, as Jack Senior. So yeah, congratulations to him. And yeah, I thought Donny were fairly honest in their appraisal. They're a good side. They won the League Two title for a reason last season, didn't they? So they were good, and both sides like to play football. There's no sort of malice between the two sides or sets of fans either. I don't think really, and they've got a good number and good voice, and it's probably it's a rare occasion to see the North Stand reasonably full for a cup tie like that, and yeah, obviously you don't want it to be full too many times of opposition fans anymore because you want the home fans to be packing that end out, don't you? So to be a spectacle to be seen. But yeah, look, you shake hands, Chesterfield. What were they in defeat? You get 20 grand or something like that, don't you? Or something like that, plus
Something
the
like that,
TV money, so that they're not short of a cash or two. So I don't think it was too disappointing for them. Obviously, they could have made more money if they'd have won the game. But still, they've had a decent cut run to the tune of around 100 grand, haven't they? So they've won from that and a little bit more, So it's not been a bad two games, has it really, in the FA Cup?
No, they gave a good account of themselves.
Yeah.
Probably would have been a few more there had it been a Saturday 3 o'clock kickoff as well. But like I said, they did get a bit of extra money from it being on TV, and there were lots of positives to come out of it. They played some good football as well. Scored first at home for once, and backed it up again obviously on Saturday against Barnet. But yeah, probably just that. The fact that they conceded from a cross again. I'm sure we can talk about it as we go along. Balls into the box, cross and set pieces at the minute are a bit of a problem for Chesterfield, which they haven't been for 2 or 3 seasons. But yeah, that's a bit of an Achilles heel for them at the minute, which obviously we can discuss as we go along.
Yeah, indeed. As we move onto the Tuesday night game against Cambridge, and a very cold evening down in Cambridgeshire, and that immediately the first sort of surprise on the team sheet was that Adam Lewis made his first league start, coming in for Lewis Gordon. And speaking to Gary Roberts afterwards, he felt that there was a chance that Lewis could deliver more crosses into the box, which Chesterfield obviously wanted to do and target Cambridge in that first half in particular. But it never panned out with the weather as it was, Liam.
No, it was an ugly game, wasn't it? And I think we can definitely pop it in the category of Chesterfield nicking a point
Yeah.
for once. It's happened to Chesterfield so many times at the SMH. It is actually nice to do it to someone else. But yeah, they stole a point. Neil Harris, didn't he, said afterwards it was a sucker punch, and I think definitely the feeling afterwards that felt like a point gained rather than say two dropped. So yeah, it was definitely a point gain for Chesterfield and two dropped for Cambridge. The conditions didn't help, did they? With the wind, Chesterfield really couldn't get out the half in the first half, and then probably didn't massively make the most of it after the break either. I think Cambridge will probably felt they should have had the game wrapped up
Yeah.
Hemming made another save, didn't he? And obviously Liam Mandeville clearing off the line. That would have been 2-0 and game over. But with that, on that point, it was nice to see Chesterfield show some resilience, show a bit of digging deep and scrapping away just to try and stay in a game, because there have been times where they've just collapsed really and gone on to suffer a heavy defeat. So in that regard, that's a positive. It obviously came from an unlikely source in Carl McFadzean, who I don't think anyone would have sort of put money on him flicking the ball up on the edge of the box and volleying it into the bottom corner in the 93rd minute. But we'll definitely take it. Point gained, stops sort of Cambridge getting a little gap on, getting a bit of a lead on Chesterfield. And they've only lost once at home. They don't lose many games, don't concede many goals. So it was a welcome point on the road. I think you just sort of take the point, forget about the performance, and move on.
Yeah, they were frustrated. They only got a point at MK Dons on Saturday, of course. So they've only taken 2 points in games, which they felt they should have won. And you're right, Cambridge should have won the game, wrapped it up, and moved on, shouldn't they, to NK Dons for that respect. But they didn't, and that's the crucial thing. Wherever it's 1-0, you leave yourself wide open to an opportunity like Kalmar Fadjian did. And he's got 29 goals in his career, and it's been a longevity of a career. It's around 22 years, isn't it, as a pro roughly? And so that's not a bad record for a centre half. And Gary Roberts was saying afterwards, and everybody was saying that Dylan Duffy was saying that he fancies himself from free kicks and whatnot. And they tried something on Saturday which didn't really work out, didn't they? So we'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, what a fine finish it was from Carl McFadzean, completely out of the blue. Just a ball launched into the area, knocked down. McFadzean there teed himself up and a right-footed shot into the corner. I think everybody was stunned. Even Jake Eastwood, the former Chesterfield loanee goalkeeper, who just was on his knees watching it go past him into the back of the net. So, but much to like, and a great turnout, Chesterfield fans, by the way. 450 made the trip down to Cambridgeshire on a Tuesday night. And it's such a shame, really, because obviously Chesterfield don't play Cambridge too many times. So had that been on a Saturday, you could have doubled that and some. I felt, with in terms of the crowd, So yeah, but I'm glad they got some reward on what was a tough evening in terms of weather, in terms of tough opposition. Cambridge will be there or thereabouts. You feel they've got enough attacking options if they get their injuries sorted out. And to get a point away from home, as we always speak, is a good point as well. So, and Jacob Butterfield came on as well, made his league debut for the Spireites. He's been flirting in the cup a little bit, a couple of times. Obviously, had that injury with a broken foot, but my word, he looks composed on the ball and a tall sort of gangly player at the minute at 21 years old. If you could just bulk up a little bit, you feel that he's going to be one certainly to be watched by other clubs going forward. He could be an asset to Chesterfield going forward.
Yeah, we've obviously not seen too much of him, have we, so far? Obviously broke his foot against Mansfield and been out for 3 months or so, and now he's getting his first sort of minutes in the league. He's having to step in, isn't he, with the short in central midfield, with Fleck suspended and Dibley Diaz out injured as well. So he's getting his chance and getting some minutes under his belt, which will be good for his development. But I didn't really think that Chesterfield were pushing for an equaliser. If I'm honest, I know they had the Dylan Duffy shot from the edge, the Ronan Darcy shot, but I don't know. I suppose when you think about the XG, I don't think that'd be two shots from outside the box would be particularly high. So no clear cut chances that I can remember anyway. So I think that was like I say, definitely a point gained.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you're right. As I said, you just leave yourself wide open when it's only 1-0, don't you? So for opportunities like that comes off the backside of some defender or something, later on. But you weren't expecting a Carl McFadzean fizzer into the bottom corner. So kudos to him, and he got his second goal of the campaign, and everybody was delighted, and they made sure that the coach journey on the way home was much more pleasurable than it was, getting in at something like 3 a.m. I think we got back about 1:30, something like that. So yeah, it's always a long trip for Tuesday nights, and then obviously building up towards Saturday's game against Barnet. You just felt a lot of pressure on Chesterfield, having not won for 5 games. All of a sudden, a home tie against Barnet, against the side who, they've had so many battles with over the in the National League. The most visited side to come to the SMH Group Stadium. So always a good game against Barnet. Apart from that 3-0 drubbing when what's his face got the hat trick that Chesterfield were going to sign. Nicky Kabamba. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Thanks, Liam. Yeah, so always a good game and plenty of goals usually. And they served up again another game on Saturday, which had plenty of goals and a bit of a treat, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It was a much needed win. Gets them back into the playoffs and gets them back to winning ways at home. I thought for the majority of the first half they were much the better team, dominated the game, and should have gone in at half time 2-0 up. That would have been a fair scoreline. So 2 more goals for Lee Bonnis, who's quietly going about his business nicely, isn't he? That's I think it's nine
Nine,
goals,
nine.
9 goals for the season now for him. So
Yeah.
after a bit of a slow start, he might actually be on for maybe close to 20 goals for the season. If he carries on in this form, and perhaps maybe a recall to the Northern Ireland squad as well. After picking up, he's got 1 cap, I think. So that could be on the cards. But yeah, it was just a shame that Chesterfield let Barnet back into the game just before half time with that goal from the corner, as we say, just another soft goal, and it just gave Barnet a bit of a lift, bit of momentum going into the second half. And yeah, they will probably count themselves a little bit unlucky not to have drawn level again. Hemming making a key save, and also they hit the post, didn't they, as well? And Chesterfield were just getting bombarded; they couldn't get out. And it just felt like it was inevitable that Barnet were going to go and equalise. But again, they managed to ride it out. They have had a bit of misfortune with teams seem to score in their first attack every time against Chesterfield. So maybe Chesterfield are getting a little bit more luck these days. And then obviously Liam Mandeville wrapped it up late on just to give them a little bit of breathing space. But yeah, Barnet, a team who'd were unbeaten in 6, weren't they? Long unbeaten away run as well. So they're no mugs, and they'll take some points off the teams at the top as well, won't they?
Yeah, they've got no danger of getting relegated, you don't feel. So they'll be fine under Dean Brennan, of course. But yeah, it was the best sort of 40 minutes that Chesterfield had just moved on again from another good performance at home that they had done against Swindon, like they had done against Doncaster at home. And they're starting to get there where the minutes are building up where they're on top of opposition. But you're absolutely right, Liam, when you say that, again, they just let themselves down from a set piece, at the back post this time, free header for Mark Shelton. And, then they scrambled to get something together again as if it's dented their confidence a lot, and Dean Brennan switched players before that, actually, didn't he? On 19 minutes, he had a word with the goalkeeper to go down and get injured. They swapped the fullbacks over, moved Ryan Glover into more of a free role rather than a static player, so they didn't know where to pick him up, and he had a lot of possession. We saw him with Aldershot. He was a tough ask on them. He was part of that Aldershot side that started off really well in the National League that sort of faded away when they had, who was the kid, Josh Stones, was it? They sold to Bristol City anyway for a lot of money, and they were quite a good side when Chesterfield beat them 4-3 down at the Recreation Ground a couple of seasons ago. But yeah, he was part of that, and then Callum Stead, who I thought was outstanding, and I'm surprised they took him off actually. Their number 10 really was really a real handful, and Zach Hemming had to make some important saves, didn't he? In many respects, didn't he? That one that Stead hit at him straight away, and he had to block it and move that one away. And then they hit the inside of the post, which went along the. I just thought that was going to nestle into the back of the net when it hit there. Yeah, I never thought that it was going to Never thought it was going to bounce out. So that was their real golden opportunity for 20 minutes. Chesterfield had to batten down the hatches and face a Barnet side that were bombarding them with not necessarily crosses into the box. It was more just passing through and quick tempo that Chesterfield struggled to get to grips with. But all of a sudden, they had a bit of a switch, didn't they? They brought the subs on. Eventually, the tide turned. Barnet seemed, I think, Liam, I don't know if you agree with this, seemed to sort of think, well, we haven't scored in that period. What do we do now? And they seem to run out of ideas a little bit.
Yeah, we've seen it so many times with Chesterfield, haven't we? Where if you don't score when you're on top, it's a little bit deflated, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
a bit of a psychological thing where you do feel like you've missed your opportunity to equalise or get in front. I mean, I do think it was a deserved win for Chesterfield.
Yeah.
I think they should have gone in at half time 2-0. Barnet with a better team in the second half. Maybe should have won the second half 1-0, and I think it was probably a 2-1 game rather than a 3-1. I think anyone who'd not been in the game, maybe you'd see 3-1 and think that was sort of a routine win for Chesterfield. When it wasn't. As much as they did play well for 40 minutes in the first half, and then maybe for the last sort of 10 or 15 of the second, it was that middle period of the game where Barnet were a really tough opposition. But yeah, I do think it was a deserved win. And as I say, it gets them back into the playoffs, keeps them in touch, doesn't it? As we say, probably just need to keep in touch at this stage until they can get to the January transfer window and get some players back from injury. But yeah, they're probably the talking points are the goals that they're conceding from corners, set pieces, balls into the box, and obviously the injuries that they've got. And Lee Bonus is just a man in form at the minute, and as you say, they're starting to play well. I'd say for longer periods in games, but there's still that softness about them. I suppose it's not going to disappear overnight, is it? And we'll see if they can put that right in the January transfer window, which, as I've said before, I think is probably going to define Chesterfield season, whether they're going to be in the playoffs or in the top three.
Yeah, yeah. Let's just chat briefly about Lee Bonus as well. Like you said, he's had a tough sort of start, and they looked at the stats Gary Roberts told us after the game, didn't he? That they'd seen that he'd put in the effort in the stats that they get after the game and everything, and he was getting some chances, but not as many. I think the Bristol Rovers game where perhaps he had a couple of chances, like a header and a shot which was saved, and you just felt for him really that it needed to go in, didn't you? And that, but if he bided his time, he was getting into the right areas, and but the ball wasn't hitting the back of the net. I remember Jack Lester once telling Jordan Bowery about a bit of influence from him, just saying you should enjoy the misses because so when you get the goals, so it becomes even better, with that. And look at Jordan Barrett's gone on to have a great career as well going forward, and that's some good advice from Jack Lester. And maybe Will Griggs having the same sort of effect on Lee Bonus is the fact that he's had a free run now because Will Griggs been out injured. I'm sure that's not what Will Grigg would have wanted, but he's getting some advice. And look, the first goal wasn't a clean strike by any manner of any.
Oh.
So you'll take that if he's not in form or anything like that. But he is, isn't he? So you know that he's in good form when goals like that are going in particular. But he was in the right place, unmarked, at 6 yards out to flick that ball that fizzed in from Duffy. So yeah, he's getting into the right areas, isn't he? And that's good to see with Chesterfield bringing in Freddie Ladapo. You'd feel in January that more competition for places might help Lee Bonus, and he can take some advice as well from players. And yeah, going forward is great because you mentioned in your piece that Northern Ireland had tweeted that he'd scored, so it shows that all of a sudden they're considering him, aren't they?
Yeah, certainly his goals aren't going unnoticed, are they? I mean, I know it's a while now, isn't it, until the next international break? I think it's probably March time. So we have to see if he can keep that form up. But yeah, I mean, his work rate's never been in question, hasn't it? Even when he wasn't scoring goals, but there has been an improvement in his hold up play. And I think he just playing with a bit more calmness about him, a bit more clarity. I think he was sort of like hacking at things and lashing at things because he was so desperate to get off the mark. And you hear strikers talk about that all the time. And then I think he's just got a couple of goals and it's just settled him down. He's playing with a lot of confidence, I think he's assured in his play. I mean, he's not the biggest, but he wins a fair share of headers. He runs the channels, he chases everything down, and now he's getting his rewards, isn't he, with his goals as well. And yeah, you've taken the words right out of my mouth there with Will Griggs. You can sort of see a bit of Will Grigg in Lee Bonis, can't you, in terms of play? So you'd probably have to say, well, I think they've spoken about it before in terms of Lee getting a lot of help from Grigg. So yeah, I have to say as well, I think Will Grigg looked sharp when he came on.
Yeah.
I think he probably could have come back maybe a week or two earlier, but I think they've just, with Lee Bonis scoring the goals, I think they've probably gave him a couple of extra weeks, and just the way that he collected that ball and ran towards goal and had a shot, which the keeper made a fantastic save. It looked like he had extra half a yard of pace to me.
Yeah,
and it sort of like made me sit up a little bit and like, oh, it's almost like Will Griggs back, and then he's got the intelligence, hasn't he, to get the assist for the third goal as well. So yeah, I think they've probably just been a little bit more patient with Will Grigg, knowing that Bonis is scoring the goals, and yeah, he really caught my eye when he came on. So some competition for places there now, and also, with the way that the camp is speaking about Freddie Ladapo, you'd have to say that it's nailed on that he's going to be joining in the January transfer window as well. But otherwise, I don't think they'd be speaking about him in such terms either.
no, that looks a done deal, doesn't it? Really, if you want to use the Sky Sports News transfer window parlance, don't we? Really, so yeah, I just think that obviously going forward, we were trying to speak to Lee Bonis after the game, but they were off down to London, weren't they, for the Christmas party? Instead, we got Dylan Duffy. I think managed to speak to him about 5:15, and they were trying to get a 5:30 train. So I don't know if they actually made that. So, but they were. I've seen pictures of them down in London anyway. So yeah. So they made that. It was a footballer's Christmas party from years ago. Yes, I'm sure it's more sedate these days, but from years ago they used to be chaos, didn't they? So from the stories you heard from the old boys and everything, but I hope they had a good time. And of course, they've got another game on Saturday, which is Shrewsbury Town away from home. They got relegated last season under the new. I don't know what. I can't remember the manager who took them down, but it is Michael Appleton, I think now the manager, of course. And yeah, I'm not too sure what to expect from them because they're battling down at the foot of the table, aren't they, right now, Liam?
Yeah, they've drawn the last three, and against good opponents as well, actually. They've drawn against Walsall, who are obviously top. They've drawn against Grimsby, and they've drawn against Gillingham. So they've maybe settled the ship a little bit there. They are still in danger, only just 2 points above the drop zone. A couple of Spireites in their ranks in Tom Anderson and Sam Clucas. And obviously, we've got one as well in Shay Dunkley, who's back to his former club as well. So it'll be interesting to see how Chesterfield, approach that game. You'd maybe like to think that they can if the conditions are more in the favour, play a little bit more football against Shrewsbury on hopefully a nice pitch. It's sort of very similar sort of facilities to the SMH, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Like I say, because they have dug out some good results away from home at Stevenage and Grimsby, and scored 3 at Crewe as well, and then nick that point at Cambridge. So if they can sort of merge those two sort of types of performances together, where they can be hard to beat and solid at the back, but also have their flair players come to the party in the final third, then there's no reason why they can't get big 3 points ahead of a very busy period. Obviously, they play Cambridge again at home, and Notts County are flying at the minute as well. That'll be a cracker on Boxing Day. I mean, those games never disappoint, and it's set to be fireworks, isn't there, on Boxing Day with Notts coming to town. So yeah, I think hopefully they'll take a lot of confidence from that win against Barnet. And like I said, if they can just sort of merge these sort of away performances together, then they've got a good chance of getting 3 points, I think.
Yeah, if they could just perform as well as we know they can do away from home. They got a big win at Grimsby, didn't they, Chesterfield? So no, they obviously were helped by the goalkeeper sending off, but if they could just sort of have a little bit more flair about them getting that 3 points maybe on the agenda on Saturday, it builds them in nicely, doesn't it, for the Notts County? I'm sure we'll talk about Notts County, which by and large should be a sellout, shouldn't it, on Boxing Day? They'll get their 1,000 odd fans in the East Stand, and Chesterfield hopefully will sell the remaining 9,000 because that could be a real cracker. They're on really good form right now. So we're not expecting, obviously, Fleck's still suspended. We're not expecting any team news in terms of positivity over Dobra or
No, I don't think there's
who's the other
anyone. Is
one?
there?
Mark Andy's
Dobra,
out, yeah.
Markande, Hobson, Donacien. I think Donacien the closest one. He's probably a couple of weeks away now,
Yeah.
maybe a tad longer. But Fleck will sit out the game, final one for suspension. So yeah, it'll probably be. I mean, after a 3-1 win as well, it's probably going to be the same lineup, isn't it? And it's a big week this one actually, because Gary Roberts was talking about how they've got a meeting on Thursday with regards to transfers. It's something that they've been doing every Thursday for a good number of weeks now, but they've got decisions to make on loan players, like so Will Dixon, Ronan Darcy, James Berry. There's players there, whether
Matt Dibley-Diaz, yeah.
Matt Diaz, do they keep them? Are they going to get recalled? The transfers that they can and can't do. It's been it's an ongoing process for a while. It's not just something that they're just coming up with now. They're well prepared, and I think they probably sort of see it the same as us, don't they? That it's going to be possibly season defining for them in terms of the business that they do and don't do.
Yeah, well, it could be. I mean, we know they're in the market for a left-sided centre half from the northwest, who they may have been targeting before in the summer transfer window. So maybe some news on that could happen. You never know. But they've already got a left-sided centre half coming in, so which would guide for them, which would mean probably one going out, maybe if one did come out. So there's going to be plenty of change, and we're going to discuss all that on Spireites Extra Time as well. So we'll discuss that on a later date when the transfer window's open and running. But yeah, hopefully Chester will go to Shrewsbury. Just get back on the road to winning games. If they have a really good sort of Christmas and New Year period, it really sets them up for the second half of the season, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's been a bit of a stop-start season, hasn't it? Sort of they win one, get themselves back into the playoffs, threaten the top three, and then fall back down to sort of 9th or 10th. So if they could string some wins together, I mean, it's easier said than done. You look at the form table in League Two, and not many teams are actually stringing the wins together. Like I say, even the draws just keep you in there, don't they? Chesterfield had a lot of them, and they have actually just been able to maintain a steady position, even just by picking up points. Not losing many games. I think it's only 4 defeats, which is still the joint best with Bromley. So I mean, it doesn't really feel like that. But,
No.
Chesterfield are actually hard to beat. It's just maybe not had as many wins as what we would have liked. But especially with that Notts game coming up as well. If you keep in touch with them, then maybe even beat them. It really does open up the top three for them. But they've just got to stick in there at the minute and just not fall too far behind, and then see what they can do in January. And I think we saw last season Chesterfield went from 16th, didn't they? After that defeat to Colchester in March, into the playoffs by the end of the season. So that if they can stay clear of any more injuries, then there's instead of going from 16th to 7th, hopefully they can go from sort of 8th or 9th up to 3rd, because they're very capable of putting a run together, and especially Paul Cook's teams in the second half of the season do have a habit of doing that.
Yeah, well, the minimum target should be 3rd place this year, didn't we? As you spoke at the start of the season, just to one up from the playoffs, really, because you don't really want to be involved in the playoffs if you can avoid it. The playoffs should be a fallback mode as a second chance for you, really. But with three automatic positions, you want to give yourself the best possible chance. And you're right, Liam. Chesterfield have only lost 4 times in the league this campaign. It feels like a lot more because some of the draws have been from winning positions.
Mm.
So but hopefully going forward they take it forward and have a really good Christmas and New Year. 5 games in 15 days, I think it is, and it's a long period. And as you say, it's players not really in for training too much; they're just playing games, and it's good. It's good for us, isn't it, to keep ourselves
Mm.
occupied over Christmas Day and whatnot, and doing your research and whatnot, and your stories are all out there, and yeah. But it is hectic, but it's one that we all enjoy as well, isn't it, Liam?
Yeah. It's an exciting time of the season, isn't it? And it does go quick after this period. You get these 5 or 6 games ticked off, and then before you know it, you are downhill for the rest of the season. Then, and before you know it, you are looking more at the league tables and looking more at other teams' scores and what they're doing and not doing. And before you know it, you're looking again at who might be in contention for the playoffs and for the top three. So yeah, an exciting period coming up. And obviously it was this time last year, Chesterfield were just decimated by injuries. We were just talking off camera there, weren't we, about those games at Bradford and Fleetwood where the youngsters were making their appearances off the bench, and I don't think Chesterfield could even fill a bench, or
No.
players that were on the bench weren't even fit enough to come on. It was just sort of more of a psychological thing where Chesterfield thought they might have been able to make the opposition think that they got a stronger squad than they actually had. So obviously there are injuries in the camp at the minute, but if they can stay clear of any more, then they're certainly going to be in a better position than last season, because I think we were up to like 15 injuries at one point, weren't we?
It was ludicrous, wasn't it? Ludicrous, and I think Gary Roberts even referred to you and I getting the boots on, which would have been a
No one
worry,
wants to see that.
which would have been a real worry. So wouldn't
Yeah.
it? So yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, thanks again, and that's the end of episode 16. We'll be back next week, having hopefully seen the Spireites defeat Shrewsbury Town. Please like and subscribe. Please listen out for audio and written copy from myself and Liam over the course of the next week or so. And I've just started to upload some episodes onto Spotify. For those who want to just listen to the audio, it will be available at some point. I'm drip feeding the episodes as they go along. So yeah, if you want to hear what we said back in August, you've got a perfect chance to do that. That's and correct us for later on as well. So I'm drip feeding the episodes going in. So this episode won't quite be on Spotify as quickly as I can get it on, but I'll try my best over the next week or so to get it up there. But yeah, so yeah, please like and subscribe, and Liam and I enjoy the feedback that we get as well, don't we, Liam?
Yeah, certainly do. If anyone's got any ideas of how we can improve it, or any sort of questions maybe we could answer on the pod over the Christmas period, I think we're going to do a bit of maybe a transfer special as well, on reflecting on deadline day, aren't we? And
Yeah, that'll be live as well. So that
yeah.
one. So
So
yeah.
yeah, we've got some ideas, but yeah, we appreciate all your support. We've had some nice comments about it, and hopefully that can continue.
Thank you very much, and we'll be back with you next week following the Shrewsbury game, where we look forward to the Boxing Day clash against Notts County.